Airports are strange places where stress, rules, and routines collide in a way that makes even the most seasoned traveler feel like they're being tested at every step. And nowhere is this more obvious than at the security checkpoint. Wear belts come off, laptops come out, and, almost inevitably, perfectly innocent items like a bottle of water, a small tube of shampoo, or a can of deodorant are tossed unceremoniously into a plastic bin, never to be seen again. The frustration is universal, and the rule seems arbitrary. Why can't you bring your own drink, your own lotion, or your favorite body spray on board a flight, especially when those very same items are readily available for purchase just a few feet past the security checkpoint at triple the normal price? The answer lies not in some bureaucratic quirk or airport greed, but in a terrifying real-world event that almost happened in August 2006, an event that changed aviation security forever. Even though most passengers today barely remember, or never even heard, what really took place behind the scenes. That summer, British intelligence agencies working closely with counter-terrorism units uncovered a chilling terrorist plot that involved a group of extremists planning to blow up multiple transatlantic flights headed from London to major US cities, using nothing but ordinary-looking beverage bottles and a combination of liquid chemicals disguised as harmless personal care products. The plan was as simple as it was deadly. The attackers intended to smuggle hydrogen peroxide-based explosives in drink bottles, sneak them through airport security, hidden among toiletries and snacks, and then mix the components mid-flight to create powerful liquid bombs capable of tearing open the fuselage of the plane at cruising altitude. According to investigators, the group had already conducted small-scale tests at home, creating makeshift labs in bathtubs and recording video statements pledging loyalty to Al-Qaeda, all while plotting to detonate the devices over the Atlantic Ocean, where no rescue efforts could reach the falling wreckage, and where the death toll would be absolute. Had the plan succeeded, it could have resulted in the destruction of as many as 10 passenger planes in a single coordinated attack, marking it as potentially the most devastating terrorist act since September 11th, and possibly changing the future of commercial air travel permanently. But thanks to an intensive surveillance operation and a last-minute intervention, the plot was stopped just days before it could be carried out, and the individuals involved were arrested before any flights had taken off, an outcome that was hailed as a major intelligence victory, but also one that exposed a gaping vulnerability in global aviation security. In response, aviation authorities around the world scrambled to introduce emergency measures, and within hours, major airports banned all liquids from carry-on bags. Water, soda, lotion, shampoo, toothpaste, everything was suddenly a threat, and passengers were forced to adapt to an entirely new reality almost overnight. As the panic subsided and systems caught up, the complete ban was eventually replaced by a compromise. Passengers would be allowed to carry small amounts of liquid, but only under strict limitations, now famously known as the 3-1-1 rule, 3.4 ounces per container, 1 quart-sized clear plastic bag, 1 bag per person. And while this rule is now accepted as normal by millions of travelers, the science behind it is more nuanced than most people realize, because the danger isn't necessarily in the shampoo itself, but in the chemical potential of mixing specific liquids to create powerful, unstable explosives in flight, an act that would be incredibly difficult for crew members to detect or stop in time. Critics of the rule, however, argue that the policy, while rooted in real danger, has not evolved with the times, pointing out that modern screening technology is now advanced enough to detect liquid explosives more accurately, making the strict volume limits potentially obsolete and unnecessarily burdensome for everyday travelers. In fact, some countries have already begun to experiment with new scanners that use computed tomography, CT, to analyze the molecular structure of liquids, allowing them to distinguish between a bottle of water and a chemical threat with far greater precision than traditional X-rays ever could, raising the question of whether the United States should follow suit and finally move beyond the liquid restriction era. Even more frustrating for passengers is the apparent contradiction in enforcement. While you're not allowed to bring a bottle of water from home through security, you're perfectly free to buy a liter of soda or a full-size bottle of lotion after the checkpoint and carry it onto the plane without issue, which seems to suggest that the restriction is more about where the liquid comes from than what it actually is. This has led to widespread skepticism, and a sense that airport policies may serve the convenience of retail operations as much as they serve actual safety protocols, especially given how lucrative airport sales have become in the post-security shopping zones where thirsty travelers have no other option. So why can't you bring your own water or shampoo on a plane? Because nearly 2 decades ago, a group of extremists planned to weaponize everyday liquids and use them to kill hundreds, if not thousands, of innocent people in the skies. And even though that plan was foiled, the rules it triggered have remained in place. A frozen snapshot of a moment when fear reshaped the boundaries of personal freedom in the name of collective security. And whether or not those rules still make sense today is a question that security experts, airport regulators, and frustrated passengers continue to debate. But until the technology and trust evolve far enough to replace regulation with real-time detection, your shampoo, your drink, and your full-size toothpaste will remain exactly where they always end up, in the trash bin at the airport checkpoint. Subscribe us for more videos.